Come on, Doku. Come on, Doku. Come on, Doku. Come on. Come on. Yes. Get in. Get in. Fucking Nunes. Get in. Nunes. Get the fucking Nunes. Morning. I don't know why I started with that. I just thought I would. So, welcome, everyone. Apologies. We've been off for a couple of days. I do have a guest already, so I'm just trying to sort that out. In fact, if I bring you in... Hello, mate. I can hear you. Can't see you yet. There we go.
There we go.
There we go. Although I'm going to try and find a better layout. Don't know where it is, though. How are you while I fiddle about?
I'm good, mate. Yeah, thank you. Just
there it is.
Just enjoying my weekend off now. So yeah, things are good for me now. Just a couple of other things. It's been a bit rough couple of days actually. I don't know if it made the news over here, but there was a staff member, one of my colleagues I work with at Qantas. She's in critical condition in hospital. She fell. There was a structural fail with one of the jet bridges at Sydney Airport. She fell through and landed basically 5 meters down on the tarmac. Had to go surgery, induced coma. Like, yeah, it's a pretty tough one. Yeah, she's, as far as we know, like she's had the operation. That now it's all the case of recovery.
So is that the bridge that connects the terminal to the plane?
Yeah.
Fucking what? And fell
yeah,
through?
And it was one of the jet bridges for like a larger bodied aircraft, like an Airbus 330, like one of the bigger ones.
Yeah.
Like you'd fly like transatlantic with.
Yeah.
So it was about a 5 to 6 meter fall.
Fucking hell, man. I hope is she stable?
I believe so. I mean, it happened on Saturday afternoon. She went in for surgery later that night, so it's still early days. But yeah.
Well, thoughts with other people and with you as well. I guess for you, that's pretty.
Thanks, man. Yeah. She's a good friend. I've known her for about 15 years. So you know, she's got a couple of kids in their teens or 20s now, I think. So yeah, just thoughts and prayers with them, of course. Yeah.
And was it only one person that
just one
fell through? Right? That's and that's not a normal thing. God, it's going to make me worry every time I walk across one of them. So
yeah, this occurred. This didn't occur during a boarding process. This was like after an aircraft departing. So we don't know if it's like there's been like a massive like malfunction of the bridge or something. But you know those tin cabins that sort of allow the aircraft to sort of rotate and stuff like that. I don't know if it's because of the bridge had a malfunction or she's lent against that, which you well within your rights to do. That it should be structurally integral. She's somehow landed across that, and it's caused a massive hole to open up, like it's fallen out of its fixings. And she's fallen out, like gone straight out under that.
Jesus, man. I hope she's. And thoughts to her family, man.
100%. Yeah, it's been all over Australian news. I don't know if it made anything overseas. Like a couple of my mates overseas saw it, but it was pretty brutal, must say.
Right. Okay. Well, thoughts with her and her family, everyone. I'm sure everyone will say a prayer for her. Riku's saying prayers to her.
Big Riku. Thanks, mate.
Apologies to everyone. We've been. I think the last show I did was Friday evening, just before the Wolves game. So we will talk on the Wolves game. And to be honest with you, I've had a bit of a chill weekend, but need to get back to it. Everyone, make sure you are smashing the like button. Alan, if you are watching, I did just see you called, but I'm on a show. Shout out to Alan. Nick's going to join us.
Please get him on. Please get him on because I just want to wind him up the whole show.
Well, I don't know where he is. I don't know if he's still being.
Well, I think he's hiding at the moment because look, we never want to get these shows political, but to put it in a nutshell, Labor dominated the federal election over the weekend here in Australia.
Oh right, okay.
Yeah, and let's say he just votes for somebody different.
Yes, I'm sure he's definitely got a strong opinion about that. As Alan
absolutely, yeah. No, it's not a strong opinion. It's just an Alan opinion.
It's an Alan opinion, yeah.
It's an Alan opinion, yeah.
Right, let's start off with because I know, God, if you go on Twitter as a Man City fan, you can't see anything but Morgan Gibbs-White chat. So let's not jump straight into that because I swore I wouldn't speak on it again. Yeah. Let's speak on Wolves first of all. Go on, you take it away. What's your thoughts on the Wolves?
I totally get what you're saying because I dead set had like a mental blank trying to analyze this game. But if one of the rare few games where the result didn't match the performance, if that makes sense, and I mean that from a Wolves perspective as well too, because you know they could have been out of sight in the first 20, 25, 30 minutes anyway. given the opportunities that we gave him. I don't know why everybody was hyping about us getting a massive scoreline, because, again, it's another case of people, I think, too busy looking at the league table rather than looking at form. And if you think about it, over the last 6-7 games, Wolves had some of the best form in the league.
Facts.
They seem to have rejuvenated themselves under Vitor Pereira, and, Mateus Cunha has been obviously their standout player for this season and things like that. And, if it wasn't for a few goal line saves from Gvardiol and, a few other last-ditch sort of changes. And, of course, our 3 nominees for player of the season is, as I said, the McKinney away yesterday, I said our 3 nominations for player of the season should be the crossbar, the right post, and the left post.
Do you know what? Yeah. I hear you on that. I hear you on that now, especially after that game. Yeah. I mean, look, it seems to be a thing with City that even when we were at our best, when people say, "Oh, City going to win this 6-0," I often think, come on, that isn't how football works. But even more so at the moment, we haven't been wiping teams away. We've been getting the job done, right? That's what we've been doing, is just getting the job done. So I don't know why anyone thought we were going to turn Wolves over. However, they started the game well. I was worried that Cunha was going to turn up against us, because of the fact I know he's probably going to end up at Man United, and he did turn up. That pass for the first chance was perfect. That it was the type of pass that I guess if De Bruyne made, we'd all be waxing lyrical about it. So we have to. For Cunha, it was a great pass.
Mind you, though, we had such a suicidal high line on that one.
Yeah.
Oh, mate, even Ange would have looked at that and gone, "Oh, a bit much, mate."
Yeah. You actually sounded like Andrew when you said it as well. So it's like, fucking
well, I should. It wasn't there to be something really wrong.
I didn't realize. It was you that told me he's Greek, though, right? Not Australian. So
yes, he is. In fact, I remember he flew with us a while ago, and it's hard to locate his name, because his full formal name is actually, well, what you'd see on his passport is actually Angelos Postaklos.
Fuck.
That's his real name. Like, at least that's what it says on our bookings if you ever see it. But his real name's actually Angelos Postaklos.
And I need to remember that one. And what is it?
Angelos
Postaklos.
Postaklos, yeah. It's the first time I've ever had like an ethnic name where actually adding syllables makes it easier to pronounce. It's a weird one, isn't it?
Yeah. But no, do you know what? It was. Do you know what? We got the job done. I think that's exactly what someone said. Do you know what? Another clean sheet as well.
Yes. I did mention if we have a clean sheet against Southampton, we've gone more than a month of not conceding any goals from open play. And the only goal we conceded was Rashford's penalty.
Is that the only goal we've conceded?
Yep.
I feel like there was a game where we conceded 2, Palace.
Yeah, but Palace was over a month away now.
Was it really? Fucking hell. Yeah, there we go then. Yeah. I mean, and we have to talk about that because of where we were back in kind of October, November, December. We were conceding goals for absolute fun. And now, I get it. People, did get in behind us once or twice, but clean sheets once again. And right, we're going to talk about De Bruyne, obviously, yeah. But for me, it was the Doku assist again. In recent weeks, we've seen 2 assists from Doku that really encouraged me with him, because I think the one thing that we would all say about Doku is great at beating his man, but his final ball, not great. He's put it on a plate for Nunes, and he's put one on the plate for De Bruyne there. Are we seeing a change in Doku, do you think?
Well, yeah, just initially from these goals, and just the fact that he's sort of understanding the players around him in a way, because how many times, even since he signed with us, 2 seasons ago, we've been saying like, okay, he's absolutely rapid. He's quickest man in the game, the first 5 yards or whatever they call it. But how many times would you see him absolutely blitz his marker, run all the way to the byline, look up and then go, oh shit, nobody's run with me, and then back pass. Yeah. Now I think there's a bit more common sense to his game, to this gung ho sort of style of play, which we love to do, because I've seen it when I've been at live games. Every time he got the ball, like especially last season, I've never seen, apart from maybe Haaland in his first season, I've never really seen somebody get people out of their seats in the ground whenever he had the ball, because you wanted to see what he was going to do. But it was very much anticlimactic in a way, because like I said, he'd run into basically nothing. But now, you're right. He's starting to pick his moments as to when to do those runs. He's looking up to see who's around him more than he's just looking at his own feet or looking at his own marker. And also too, I think the goal was quite well set up in a way too, because I do remember there was a couple of plays there coming from the left hand side and from the right hand side where they would go for basically the last line of defense, not realizing that Kevin De Bruyne or whoever was moving forward at that the most advanced at that time was just smothered with three defenders, and then it was that one time Kevin De Bruyne decides to stay back, somebody plays a decoy, and then that's where they angle it back rather than just hitting on the last line of defense. He's there, tucks it away.
There we go.
We're playing with a bit more sensibility, but at the same time too, if you go back and watch closely the few minutes building up to that, we did have a couple of chances where we'd done that, realized it wasn't working, did the cutback, and bang, got our results.
Sorry, Nitin, I've just seen your comment. I'm going to put that up later. We are going to speak on Morgan Gibbs-White later. Sorry, no, I've got to put this up. Sorry. Water is wet, sky is blue. Sydney Sweeney is my crush, and Morgan Gibbs-White is absolutely English shit.
Nitin's always got strong opinions of fair play.
What's this? Club PR machinery creator is full-on Gibbs-White hype train. We are aware of it. Guys, we'll talk on Morgan Gibbs-White later. It's too early to talk on it right now.
Who are we speaking about at the moment, Doku?
Well, we're speaking about Doku. Yeah, just how good. No, I'm not gonna get into that. I'm not going to get into that just yet, saying just how good Doku is, but the encouraging signs with Doku.
Yep, big time.
It's the end delivery for me, because we all know Doku can beat a man. We all know that he can, but it is you're spot on, Pat. It's the fact he's looking up now and he's picking out players. That's what he's doing. And maybe that is why it's maybe taken him so long to settle in, that they have been kind of trying to drum into him, look up a little. Or maybe they weren't, and maybe now it's decided. For me, right, who out of our wingers, who's had the best season for you guys?
Doku as of recently. Savio
Doku's had a bigger impact.
I think I can't lie. I think it's been Doku all season.
Yeah. So Savio did have a few good games early on, and then kind of almost like didn't lose his form, but just I think not getting that goal early on definitely got to him a little bit.
But then he had that period where he turned it round. But then it's like, I don't know, man. I think we have to remember this is Savio's first season, Doku's second season, right? And Savio is younger, so we do have to take that into consideration. But for me, and I think Savio looks more like a Pep type player. Doku doesn't, right? And I'm not mad at that with Doku. I think we need it. Like we spoke about it, the getting the bums off the seats thing. I don't know. I think Doku's been. Do you know what? I think Doku has been good most of the season. I think when he's been given a chance, I can't really think of too many bad games for Doku where I'd say he was absolutely awful.
He had those kind of games where he played one really good game and then he'd get kind of injured or he'd be out of the team the next week. So it was a bit strange. Doku's such an interesting one as well because he's, as Pat mentioned, he's so quick over that first 5 yards, but then doesn't really have that kind of long pace or long speed, as kind of Pep mentioned, that our previous wingers have had. There's often so much kind of space in behind that fullback that we don't ever really see our wingers kind of just dart into. I think Marmoush is probably the only one that's I've seen of recently kind of really run in behind and make those kind of aggressive runs. It's weird. Doku loves the ball at his feet, take that man on for the first 5 yards. It's a bit confusing.
Well, I saw a stat the other day that Doku...
is this the most dribbles completed?
101 completed dribbles, the most dribbles completed in the Premier League this season, and he's played only 48% of the minutes available.
That's insane.
But I honestly, right, I'm not going to go and say...
So is it a completed dribble when he completes it to himself?
Yeah,
because there's been a few of those.
No, I would imagine it's. I don't know. Yeah, some of these stats are mental when you actually think about it. It's like, is that a take on or is it not? But honestly, as far as when it comes to taking on a player, there's very few I've ever seen in my lifetime that have that much success rate of Doku. Right, his take on success rate must be absolutely insane. It is just his final ball, and that's probably been one of the most frustrating things for me this season and last season has been the fact that he's great at taking players on, but he never seems to look up, right? And the disconnection between him and Haaland has really, really, really frustrated me. And now it makes me think, with what I'm seeing in recent weeks, when Haaland comes back, are we at last going to see Doku starting to pick out Haaland that little bit more?
We hope so.
No, you don't want to get carried away, do you? Neither of you want to get carried away. Neither of you like, we ain't seen enough yet.
I just hope at this stage of the season we get like a little sample of it. Maybe just a similar sort of goal to what, the link up that Doku and Nunes had when they scored that late winner against Villa. Even if we just see that once with him and Haaland, at least it's something you can look at and go, well, now we know that they can do it. Let's see what they bring to the table next season. So it's way too small a sample size to be doing that sort of stuff. And it's funny you mention that, because I think even the Club World Cup might be a bit of an opportunity to maybe do a bit of hybrid.
Yeah,
you might organise some sort of things where it may not necessarily be what he wants the plans on doing for next season, but it might alternate the squad a little bit, alternate the formation. I'm not really too sure, but I think we might see some little, sort of tactics come a little bit out of left field in a way, sort of things we weren't expecting that. So,
do you think
everything doing now is hyping for in 3 months' time?
Yeah. I think it's obviously interesting that we're kind of seeing certain players kind of not pull their socks up is a bad word, but kind of performing back end of the season when it's almost like, are they going to be here next year? Are they not?
Well,
which is, I think, the most confusing.
Yeah.
Or I think Pep has that mentality. He puts that mentality in the players where it's like, you're not on the beach until you're literally on the beach.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, this season we're not on the beach. Like even at this point,
I think even if we were 8th or 9th, and if we are truly terrible, if our form from October, November rolled on to the rest of the season, we finished 8th or 9th or 10th or something, I still think Pep would be drilling him, saying like, no, you're still playing, you're still going to go out there and win every game.
It's more than I feel like certain players are definitely fighting for their spot to be here next year.
I hear you on that one. I do hear you on that one.
And it's interesting that they've kind of all pulled their socks up, and they are obviously all playing quite well at the moment. But is this just the kind of kick up the arse they needed? Is this form going to continue? Hard to say.
You mentioned something before, Daps, about Doku and talking about like Pep style of players and things like that. If we look back on all the players he's brought through Barcelona, he's brought through Bayern Munich, can you think of anybody who possibly?
Sorry, but breaking news: Trent confirms exit.
Oh yeah. I just got the update a few minutes ago myself. Yeah,
the news going. We all knew, didn't we?
Yeah, 5 years
ago. It means more. So 6 years I just saw.
No, sorry, mate. I got the shirt.
Oh. It means 4.
Sorry, Pat, to cut you off. Continue.
Yeah. So sorry.
No, you're all right, mate. I'm just trying to think of, because usually Pep's philosophy or types of players, he wants proper ball playing. It doesn't matter what position you're in. You control the ball, accurate passing, pass and run, pass and go, all that sort of stuff. I can't really think of anybody who even fits that sort of mold of like what Jeremy Doku does that Pep has ever signed or ever managed since he first started managing Barcelona. These really like explosive off the spot, on the spot sort of wingers, incredible dribbling, can basically corner as fast as electricity.
I don't think there's anyone there.
Did he not?
I just don't think he's ever had someone in his team that's been remotely like that. It just seems to go against the sort of player that he always looks for.
Wasn't Ronaldinho that kind of fast, and he sold him pretty soon after?
Yeah.
So. Yeah, Doku's an interesting one. Whether or not he's going to make it.
Yeah, I mean, you'd say Leroy Sané is, but not the same. But he's probably one of the closer ones to it. But you are right.
He was quick over long spaces as well, Sané.
Sterling had a little bit of that about him too. A little bit.
Yeah.
But do you know what? He adapted Sterling. He adapted. He did. Sterling did have that. 100%. Sterling did have that. He changed the way Sterling played.
Less said about Sterling, the better, because that guy, if he was more clinical, I reckon De Bruyne would have about an extra 30 Premier League assists.
Do you know what? I hear you on that. I think we had a bit of a chat about Sterling on one of the shows I did last week. We were talking about the Wolves game. The Wolves game of 2022, I think it was, where De Bruyne scored 4. And I was saying that game in particular, I remember Sterling missing shitloads of goals. And that if De Bruyne hadn't stood up that day, then we might have been blaming Sterling for not winning the league. But I did also come to Sterling's defence. You are right that if Sterling was more clinical, De Bruyne would have a lot more assists. But I think it is, I honestly do believe, although Sterling definitely did benefit from the space made by others and the fact he had Kevin De Bruyne on his team, I also do think that without Raheem Sterling, we would have won less trophies because the output that came from him was phenomenal. We can't downplay that, like the numbers he got. And he did find I always have this debate when people say De Bruyne's number one asset was his pace, and it wasn't. It was the way he found pockets of space. And I honestly think that is what Pep brought in his game. I think Pep thought, right, what can I do with this guy? And you know what? Sterling and David Silva had a very, very good understanding down that left side at times. Do you know what? And you're right. He did cost us the UCL final, but I'll be honest with you, Nitten, sorry, you're going to like this one, right? Because I know you think I'm never negative on things, and especially on this man, but did Sterling cost us the UCL final, or did actually Pep by starting Sterling? Because if you remember, Sterling's form going into that Champions League final was absolutely shocking. He shouldn't have been on that pitch.
Yeah,
and for Pep to put him on that pitch was just. I actually remember that game when, although I try and forget it as much as possible, the minute Sterling came off and Foden came on for Sterling, Foden started getting a bit of success. To be fair, So, but that's a memory we never want to forget. Remember, right? Let's talk in another wingerish. Marmoush. I didn't like. I felt he was wasted on Friday for me. Kind of playing on the right. When the lineup came out, me and Patrick were looking at it and going, De Bruyne false 9, or is Marmoush playing through the middle and then maybe Bernardo on the right? Or I didn't like Marmoush on the right. I'm not going to lie. I felt it was probably one of his lesser, probably his worst performance for us.
Yeah, it wasn't great. Definitely a few times he's just general play, touch, let him down as well. I to be honest, I don't know why he didn't go with Doku on the right and Marmoush off the left if that was the case.
I hear it, but I don't want to change it because it created a system.
Yeah.
But I do hear it. I just thought, Marmoush on the right. Maybe. Do you know what? Maybe that is Pep trying something, but I don't think it worked for me. I don't think it worked.
Didn't love it.
I've been missing Savio on the left, but I think I don't think Pep's only going to do that when Haaland plays.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Savio. So correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty certain in the summer, Pep had a chat with Rodrigo, right? Now that would have been and said that he'd want him on the right-hand side. Is that correct?
Left. He plays left wing. That's where he wants to play.
He wants to play on the left. Right. Okay. No, I'm wrong then. Because for me, I do want to see Savio on the left more. I think Savio on the right, his natural instinct is to shoot. But I think Savio on the left will be far more creative. Far more creative. Pep has tried that.
Savio on the right always wants to cut in. But when he's on the left, he always tries to get to the byline or tries to beat his man or whip in a mad cross.
Was Savio's assist to Haaland in the Arsenal game? That was off the right, though, wasn't it? where he threaded that ball through.
That was off the right. Yeah. That was off the right. Yeah, it wasn't really in a wing. It wasn't in a wing position though, was it? It was more from a midfield position. That one.
Yeah, it was almost like right mid.
Yeah, right mid. Yeah.
What was the game? It's a few months back where he whipped in that mad cross from the left. Was that home against somebody?
West Ham?
Could be. Yeah, could be.
Pretty sure he beat Sufal or whatever.
It was the sort of one that you saw him whip in dozens of them every single like every game in with Girona last season.
Yeah.
And when we saw all the highlights that were like, yes, we want to see that to Haaland, and then we barely got a sample size of it.
Yeah, it's crazy that all of our wingers are better off the left. None of them are actually better on the right.
Yeah. Who was the last good winger we had on the right hand side? Oh, fucking hell. Yeah, of course it was Mahrez. Of course it was Mahrez. Jesus Christ. Coltrane, we definitely do have a reactionary fan base. We're getting to know that at the moment. But one thing that isn't good today is the likes. We're on 173 people watching, only 87 likes. Come on, people. Let's get those likes up over 100. Should be way, way, way over 100. I haven't really asked, but please, everyone, I've missed a couple of days, so we need to get this channel popping again. If you could smash the like button. Right. Ultimately, though, we got the job done. We got 3 points. Yeah, I know. How dare I ask that question about right wingers? Actually, congratulations, Mahrez. He's just won a league over there, isn't he?
Yes, won the Asian Champions League.
Now Pep needs to go and get him, bring him back for the summer, and get him to teach Savio and Doku how to fucking whip a ball, because they can't. Neither of them know how to put bend on a ball, man. That's so fucking frustrating. Right, 100 likes. That's better. Let's keep those likes coming, though. Got the job done. Since then, I'm just thinking of the results we have had. We have had Newcastle drew. Yes, no. I'm thinking the results that impact us. So we've had Newcastle draw, which was interesting. This is, if Newcastle would have won that, and then with Arsenal playing Liverpool next weekend, Newcastle could have gone above Arsenal next weekend.
Yep.
And they went and bottled it again. So Newcastle drew. Forest played tonight. Villa won, didn't they? I think Villa won.
Yeah. And then Liverpool rolled over for Chelsea.
Yeah, Liverpool were... Yeah, Chelsea beat Liverpool. And then the other one was Arsenal losing. And
next weekend's going to be very, very interesting, because I think a lot of the teams around us would concede that we should get the job done against Southampton. The only thing that concerns me about that game, and it's the only thing that concerns me, is Southampton are currently on 11 points. They're equal with Derby for the lowest ever points total in Premier League history. They're going to want to get off that record. Now, I don't know what their mindset might be trying to get something out of Manchester City, or they might try and do it the last 2 games. But they will have that in their minds where they won't want to be on the wrong side of history, basically. They won't want to be on the wrong side of it. The only thing is, though, is that if we go out there and we do what we should do against Southampton, then it's really, really interesting to see. If we do what we need to do, we could sit back and enjoy the rest of the weekend, because you've got Newcastle playing Chelsea. That was the big one that was going to determine exactly what clubs are going to finish where. I think that was going to be a big decider. Although, to be honest, like you said, favourable results have sort of made that not as critical for us as it was when we were looking at it 3 or 4 weeks ago. And then you've also got, and then as you said, you've got Arsenal having to travel up to Anfield. Yes, Liverpool are on the beach, but they don't roll over for someone like Arsenal.
Not at home.
They never do.
No, and the fact is, it's one of these ones where I think, there was that season where we smashed them, right? We annihilated them, but they were literally still on the piss there. If you remember, Trent, when they were definitely smashed there.
That was Brunado. That was when Brunado did it with his cup of tea on the
the absolute legend. The fact that he walked away, But for me, I hear you on the Liverpool one. I think against Chelsea, there probably was a bit of, it doesn't mean much, but Slot will have now looked at that and gone, right, guys, come on, let's not end this season shit. And it's at home, right? I'm pretty certain. 100%. Yeah. And it's against Arsenal. It's against their title rivals. So they kind of they'll want to beat them. I don't know. It's interesting. I'll just say I'm with Nitin on this, because I've been thinking about this. Obviously, I look at every single game, right? And I think, as an example, I'm keeping an eye on Fulham. I'm keeping an eye on Bournemouth. And if they could potentially be playing for anything when we come to playing them, right? If there may be, because obviously They'd love Europa League. They'd love Europa League Conference. So I'm keeping an eye on if our games against Bournemouth or Fulham might mean something. So then I look at the Southampton game and think, right, what could that mean to them? And I hear you. They do want to end the season on double digits, yeah. But
they don't want to finish on the wrong side of history.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I'm with Nitton on this, that when you look at the number of points they've got, we beat them. Come on, we beat them. We beat them. But that's where I am. I do hear what you're saying, but I think the proof is in the pudding. They're simply just really fucking bad. I'm sorry, but Southampton are shit. Arsenal, though, I think if Arsenal, right, let's talk about tomorrow night. Do either of you two think Arsenal come from behind and win this one against PSG?
I think they do, to be honest. I don't want to say that because it looks like you're almost a PSG fan at the moment, Daps.
Your background, mate, yeah.
Listen, to be fair, and my jumper.
Oh, yeah.
and I'll be honest with you. Another one? Another one?
Elite kids, though.
Now, you know what it was? It was when they did the Jordan. I loved their Jordan collab.
So good.
Yeah.
But and Cass saw him, and he's just doing it to piss off Arsenal fans he does shows with. But I don't know. It's an interesting game because Arsenal need to get an early goal, right? But I think that's a dangerous place to be against PSG at their ground, right? Because if they come out too fast, too early, PSG could pick them apart.
Yeah,
and it could be 2-0 within the first 20 minutes if Arsenal aren't careful, because they concede one, they're going to have to come out even more. And recently, Arsenal defensively are looking really fucking bad, really bad.
Is Dembele fit for it?
Pass. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah.
Chat, if you have any updates, let us know.
Yeah,
that's going to be that could be a big factor.
That's a big factor.
But yeah. I do think with that is relevant, because if Arsenal go out to PSG, the one thing we do know with Arsenal is they always like to end their season well so that they can get hopeful for the following season. It's what they do, right? They'll release a new kit, they'll get hopeful, and everything will be fine, right?
Yeah.
But if they do somehow go through, then they ain't going to give a shit about the Liverpool game, right? And they're probably not going to give a shit about many more games this season. And then, I tell you what, I've saw this stat. I'm sure most people on Twitter have seen it. We've won more games this season than Arsenal in the league. That is mental. That is absolutely insane. And I also saw another one on their set pieces that something like 40% of their goals have come from 40 of their goals conceded have come from set pieces. Morning, Cass. Cass is awake. That's not me, by the way. But yeah, do you think we've got Champions League football nailed on now?
I always thought first to 70 gets in, but given the results around the league over the last, say, two weekends, I think we're one win away from pretty much one win away from wrapping up, getting in the top 5.
Yeah, that'd be. I must admit, every game. I think the other thing that I'm seeing at the moment is, and Nitton, you did say it before. I keep putting up loads of Nitton's comments today. Fucking must be something in the water, Nitton. We're getting on. Fucking hell, that's mad. But what he said, that it's business end of the season, and it is mad that right now we are the only team that seem to be treating it like the business end of the season. And I know we're not looking great. 100%, but we're getting the job done. You know, 1-0 was a scrappy 1-0 result against Wolves that we struggled to talk on because it's fucking not nice to watch, to be honest. But we're getting the job done, and that's all we can ask for. There needs to be a rebuild. We'll move on to that in a minute and talking on that. But you know what? He's relying on the uncles, and madly, the uncles are actually they're getting the job done. They are.
I don't know if you lads have spoken about Gundogan yet, but I thought it was really hard for him to get involved in the game the other day.
Yeah. I mean, look, he was involved in the goal, right?
Yes. Yeah.
But apart from that, yeah, I do hear it. Do you know what? I'll be honest. With De Bruyne right now, yeah, Like, don't get me wrong, De Bruyne is doing exactly what we need him to. Probably one of my frustrations with De Bruyne this season is he hasn't been a game changer. But recent weeks, he's not involved in the game as much as he used to be, but he has changed games, right? A couple of moments. Yeah. But I think that's the key. Look, of all of our midfielders, the one that's getting involved the most is Kovacic.
Yep.
And it has been all season. By the way, also, Nico, is it fair to say Nico didn't have the best of games against Wolves?
Yeah. He got dragged pretty early. Just probably 2 or 3 turnovers almost in a row. I think almost forced Pep's hand to kind of just be like, look, I think you're obviously doing great things, but you're probably trying to do a little bit too much.
I think it's fine with that. I mean, to be fair, actually, that was another one with Doku. The Doku-Nico link up in the first half. That was a lovely ball from Doku as well. Great one from Nico. But I do hear you, and I think these are lessons that Nico does need, right?
Yep. Like definitely.
Nico makes some good runs into midfield and into attack at times as well too. So we've got to remember that's what he's been told to do by Pep as well. I think when we're asking Nico to left back, I think we have to give him a little bit of immunity with that because it is definitely not his natural position. And they're asking him to do like this super like hyper invert where you see him dart in and try and, be like an extra man in the 18-yard box. And doing Gundogan sort of false 9 stage levels of arriving in the box at the right time. So if he's going to make any mistakes at left back, it's like you look at him and go, well, again, it's because he's there because when you're working out the wings, you can sort of recover, counter attack a little bit easier. But at the end of the day, if Pep's telling him to go ahead and do that, then we can't really critique him too much about when he's been asked to do something that's against what he
I've always said this with a lot of players that sometimes, sometimes we'll critique players where the truth is like, right, so we will critique Pep that we all know if you do something Pep doesn't like, I think Henry said it'll sub you off, right? If you go against Pep, he'll sub you off, right? We know that, We critique Pep on that sometimes, but then when players do exactly what Pep wants, we sometimes blame the player where it's like, to be fair, he's just following the gaffer's instructions, right? That's where I find Doku quite interesting because I actually think it's one of the reasons why Doku fucking doesn't start all the time because he's the one player that doesn't listen to Pep and said, nah, mate, I'm fucking going to that byline whether you like it or not.
He's a rebellious one.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you, Pat. I was going to say it's probably more the position in where he lost the ball. I think it was like it almost became that kind of basketball.
So I'm just going to get a drink. I'll leave you two to it for a second.
Yeah, it's almost like we were losing the ball, and it was they were pretty much wide open to kind of attack us at that point. I think if he lost the ball a bit further up, then maybe it's not as big of an issue. I
think you've also got to look at the Wolves were playing with a little bit of sort of footballing liberty in a way too, because they know they're on the beach, they know that their plans they're all in form at the moment. And I think if this game was being played, say, like in mid-January, I think we probably would have actually had a lot more success in terms of going forward because they would have been a lot more concerned about what they were doing at the back as much as they were trying to get forward every opportunity they got. So again, another situation of like when you look at those fixtures, it's like if it had been played a month earlier, a month later, could have been completely different. You never know. So we just had to deal with what was in front of us. And I think I said at the top of the show before you came on, but it was one of those rare games we have where the result doesn't match the performance.
Yeah.
And you just take it for what it is. It's going to be one of those games where we're going to struggle to remember this if we're doing shows in 12 months' time.
Yep.
Or we're trying to talk about this particular season in the future or something like that. This is one of those ones that you're going to forget.
I mean, look, and this is spot on. Would you rather have a not nice to watch 1-0 win over Wolves or a good to watch loss? Fluke wins are the key ingredients to developing Mettle. I hear you, bro. 100%. Ultimately, we have to remember the hand of Rod, right? That game was a horrible watch against Everton, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Horrible. And ultimately, was it a handball? Yeah, maybe. But you take it and you keep it moving. I've seen the ball go in off of fucking Erling Haaland's left bollock before, and you just take it and keep it moving. So that is how that game was.
John Stones' best goal was with his right bollock.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
So
pretty sure Jack's was as well.
I've seen a few comments about Man United and Champions League football. I can't lie, it's killing me. Every time I see Man United lose, however happy I am, it's killing me because it just reminds me we only took 1 point off of them this season, right?
Yeah.
Honestly, it's mad. It's fucking killing me. Every time I see him lose, I think, for fuck's sake, why did we only take 1 point off? And even more so, the nature of both games as well, just fucking hell. And the fact they're going to shithouse Champions League football because, look, they're 3-0 up. They're going through, aren't they? That ain't being turned around. And I get people say, yeah, you know what? Tottenham have beaten 3 times this season. Well, that's so Tottenham. Tottenham have beaten 3 times this season, but will lose in the final to Man United.
Yeah. Yep. See it happening.
It's so frustrating.
As a couple of Aussies here, we have got to say, don't rule out Ange. We have to say it by law. By law, we have to say it. So, as much as I enjoy, Spurs not winning anything, I've said this before. When Ange came into Spurs, I said I want Ange to do well, but I don't want Tottenham to.
Yeah, and
you know what I mean? It's a tough one. Yeah,
and this is the mad one that we did. We gave him Europa League football.
But it's a sliding doors moment because then if we win the FA Cup, then Ten Hag doesn't even renew his contract. We don't know what sort of United we could have had this season.
Yeah, true.
Actually, we probably could have got. He probably could have got relegated.
And that's the thing. Spurs are not winning this. I'm sorry. It's when I'm doing rivals shows on Never a Foul, and there's Spurs fans going, "We've beat them 3 times already." I'm like, I get. So why would we not beat them again? I'm like, it's a cup final. It's a final. You're Spurs. You're not beating them. And it's frustrating. It's a win-win for the internet, that game, because if Spurs do beat Man United, the fact that Man United have handed Spurs their first trophy, that's a win, right?
Yeah.
And if United win, it's fucking hell. Spurs once again lose to a shit United. But anyway, let's not talk on them. Right, let's talk
just
on
quickly. Sorry, Dubs, just quickly. I just wanted to pass on to you. Do you think we would have had a better chance of United being knocked out if they'd played Spurs at this stage of the competition? Because I think over 2 legs, Spurs might have got them.
Maybe,
in a one-off final, probably not. But over 2 legs, I think they might have been able to shit house their way to it.
No, I wouldn't disagree with you on that. Just got a super chat. Really appreciate it. Sorry, William, it's taken a little while to get to it. The fact that Vincent Kompany has been able to break the Harry Kane curse is one of the biggest sporting underdog stories of the season. Mental.
No.
Well, the fact that Vincent Kompany has won a league trophy before Mikel Arteta as well. So
the curse. No, I'm sorry, William. The curse is still alive. Harry Kane won a plate. He's still allergic to
plate. I did see that.
He's still allergic.
It is so typical that the first trophy he wins
is a plate.
It's not a trophy. It's basically a well-polished fucking biryani plate or a community shield.
That has Bayern Munich on it so many times, it might as well be sponsored by him.
Yeah. But now, do you know what? Shout out to Vincent Kompany. Well done. Win some more. Get further in the Champions League, and then we can start to entertain that conversation. But we cannot entertain that conversation yet. I'm sorry, I'm not having it. I love him too much as a player to have him back at our club just yet. I don't. Yeah, he needs to do more for me. But congratulations to him. And if he is suggesting, like I've read this morning, that he's been suggesting Kevin De Bruyne to the Bayern board, right? I'm here for that. If that takes Bayern off the scent of Florian Wirtz, Vinny, I see what you're doing here. You're getting Florian Wirtz to City, so when you join us in 2 seasons' time, he's here for you. I'm cool with that. But transfer news, I know everyone wants to talk on it. I don't want to talk on it. Nitin, you're the same as me. That's my exact reason. I don't ever want to turn on Vinny. Never. Right, Morgan Gibbs-White. I've said it for weeks. It's got too much legs for it not to be true. I understand why, probably, because I think a few English players are going. The homegrown quota thing. I'm not a big fan of Morgan Gibbs-White. I don't think he's shit. I don't think it's fair. When I see the Calvin Phillips comparisons, I think, nah, that's going way too far. I do worry. My biggest worry is how much we're going to spend on him. And I know it's not my money, but it's a season where we know we have to spend a lot this summer. And I worry that Forest are going to have us. I mean, people are saying, with personal terms agreed. Now it's just getting the fee agreed. I think the fee with Forest is going to be the difficult one for me. There's certain outlets said listing it as 100 million.
No, that's
100 million.
And I know Forest will be trying to recoup the 40-odd million that they paid for Wolves. And if they do sell him, Wolves are entitled to 10% of that as well too. So they'll be wanting to push the price up as well.
I think it'll be close to
as we know, City are ruthless when it comes to a certain market value for a player. Not necessarily market value, but what their estimates are of what they think in market value is for a player. And I don't think they're going to go. I personally wouldn't. I'd be very surprised if they went above 75 million for him.
Yeah,
English tax. Totally. Yeah.
Right. And do you think? See, this is where I am, and that is what I fucking hope to God. Right. That look, if Morgan Gibbs-White comes in as a squad player, then I'm not right. My whole thing is, I think someone, what was it? Someone said earlier. Someone said they'd rather have Eze than Morgan Gibbs-White, and I said, but in a world that I live in, City might buy Wirtz and Morgan Gibbs-White, right? They might buy Morgan Gibbs-White and Eze, but in a world I live in, City do not buy Eze and Wirtz, right? And for me, Wirtz is the player I want the most. So I'm not right. If I was Manchester City, I would get the Wirtz deal done first before I announce Morgan Gibbs-White. Yeah, because then the fan base will go, okay, I can see that. I can see what your plan is with Morgan Gibbs-White.
You've got your priority 1A out of the way.
Yeah.
Then whenever you're ready to bring in the second, third preferences and everything like that, yeah. Because I think if you're going to have priority targets, Wirtz will probably be number one.
Yeah.
And we'd rather see that just because of what happened with Declan Rice and Jude Bellingham. We want that done out of the way ASAP.
Yeah.
And my worry is, right, and by the way, part of this is because, let me be clear, we are going to get Morgan Gibbs-White. I think, well, I hope we're going to get him for the right price, right? My biggest worry is that we fucking pay way over the odds. And the reason why I have that worry is already we know, like, I'm not overly convinced on him yet, and I'm what people would deem probably a positive City fan, right? And I'm not overly happy with it. But there's a lot of our fan base that already are against him, yeah? Now, if that fee goes up over a certain amount, the pressure that is going to be on that kid when he arrives at this club is going to be fucking insane, right? And I worry that Forest are going to try and push it to 100 million. I really fucking do. And then the pressure, I worry that it'll crumble before he even starts.
It's more that people will turn on him before he
and that's it. It's pressure.
I think the big issue that we have is, and I think we've done this with signings over the fan base has done this with signings over the last, say, couple of seasons, is I think what we're doing is that the first thing whenever we're linked to a player, the automatic thing is to go, who are we going to compare them to in the current squad?
Yep, facts.
The biggest problem we have with that is that they're comparing them to X, whatever the current player is in the City squad, to what they are now in the club, not what they were when they were signed. I'll give you an example. So when people are looking at Morgan Gibbs-White, they're looking at him more along the lines of a Bernardo replacement. He's not going to be a Kevin De Bruyne replacement. Get that out of your head. Yeah, he's going to be the engine, more of a number 8. Yeah. He'll move around. He'll be moving around. He'll be basically moving around every part of the pitch, over 90 minutes and things like that. The problem we're doing is that we're comparing him to Bernardo Silva now, or Bernardo Silva over the last couple of years, because we want this guy to come in and be able to do the things that Bernardo does. But because he's a new signing, we're basically saying, well, from the get-go, we're saying we're expecting you to do the impossible, or to be as good as him from the get-go, which is not going to happen. The biggest problem then is that if those people do want to go back and compare him to what it was when we signed him, well, the problem we have with that is that when he came through the door in 2017, the reason why we were so hyped about Bernardo coming through was because of the way he ran rings around us when we played him in the Champions League the previous season. Morgan Gibbs-White hasn't done that. Yeah. Morgan Gibbs-White had won both league games for Forest and got them to the cup final while scoring a bunch of goals and a bunch of assists. Then everybody would be absolutely going crazy for him. Get him through the door. Don't care if it's 100 million. It's just because he hasn't performed against us, and because we're comparing him. Hasn't even walked through the door, and we're automatically comparing him to who we think he's going to replace in terms of Bernardo and what Bernardo means to this team. Automatically, everybody's talking him down.
I've seen other things. I mean, like this morning, I've seen people saying, why are we getting rid of a midfielder like De Bruyne to bring in Morgan Gibbs-White? And I'm like, they're not comparable. This is not. But this is my thing that. Oh, and by the way, if he is our number 10, if he actually is the 10, I'm fucking livid. Yeah, if he is the 10, I don't think he is. I think he's going to be the engine. He's going to be an 8 for us. I'm pretty fucking confident. And when what I read is both deals are getting done, right? Which means he's an 8. But if he is a 10, that's not levels for me. But I think
he might be used as a 10 rotationally, like maybe a cup match or something. But not the everyday 10. No.
Yeah, no. I think the other thing is as well, especially when, to be fair, if you look at it, we've already got players that can be the 10, right? So I think heaps of them. So I really don't think he's coming into, and players that I would personally say are better than Morgan Gibbs-White in the 10. So I can't do that. I think another thing that I think is not helping us is that I've noticed that Forest fans who have been waxing lyrical about him, right, for the last 2 seasons, now the minute he's linked with us are switching and all of a sudden think he's absolutely shit, right? And that's not helping because it's like, well, I know that this wasn't your take until he got linked to another club. And let's be honest, Forest are fucking rattled with us at the moment because of the cup final and also because of, the semi-final, and also because of the fact they might not get Champions League football. So
no, Dabs, I was going to say I'm with you, mate. If they announce Wirtz first and then Morgan Gibbs-White's done second, I think people will be a lot more calm. I think if they announce Gibbs-White with kind of no clarification around what's happening with Wirtz, I think people are going to freak out.
Yeah,
big time.
Yeah. I think and here's the thing that now, right, the English quota thing, I think we all agree it is part of it, yeah. But now I see people in here, they're talking about James Maddison. But if Maddison comes in, right, Maddison would be a 10, yeah?
Yeah, he'd be a bit more forward.
Right. So we shouldn't, for
and
me...
Spurs will want 120 million for him.
For me, this is they will 100%. They will, of course. Well, bro, if Forest are wanting fucking 80 million, 90 million for Morgan Gibbs-White, then probably Spurs should want 120 million. But this English taxing isn't a joke. But we have to get the Wirtz deal done, and then maybe we'll start to understand the plan with Morgan Gibbs-White a little bit more. And by the way, are there better players out there in the 8 role? Yeah, there are 100%. But I'm just kind of, for me, it's happening. Like,
just got to get behind it.
Yeah, we do. And to be fair, we have to give him some time and judge him. Now, Pep, don't you dare play him at right back. Okay, yeah. Because who knows? Nunes in midfield next season and Morgan Gibbs-White is our new right back.
Oh, God. Worst part is I could actually see it happening. No.
Anything else? Anything else? Anyone seen anything else?
We did say last night's show that there was actually talks between City and that what's his name, that Gabriel Sara, the midfielder from Galatasaray. Apparently there is talks going on.
Wow.
How often do we talk about players coming from the Turkish league? You know, it's always about the veteran players going to Turkey. It's never about young players coming from Turkey. So that's one that, you know, and then when people do know anything about the player, they talk about, apparently he was at Norwich and he wasn't very good. So automatically comes with like a negative tag on him, basically. So there seems to be some sort of substance to that transfer rumor about this Sara, but I think the more it picks up steam, is like the more we'll probably be able to start doing some sort of research, because I don't know enough about him.
So the Sheikh guy on Twitter called the Sheikh, I do a show with him every Thursday called the Blueprint. He was due on this Thursday, but last Thursday, but he was busy becoming a father. Now, I've seen him tweet that he actually did some research on this player about 2 years ago, when he was at 2-3 years ago when he was at Norwich, and actually rates him really, really highly. But I don't know. It It does worry me that we're being linked with a player that played at Norwich and now plays in Turkey for Galatasaray. But you know what? Sometimes players do find form at different leagues. But yeah, I don't know.
Do you think this is? Do you look at this and say that this might be a Viana signing? Because I've said this before on your show, and I've said this on Mancunian Way a lot of times. Is with Viana, we're going to see a lot of, I think, young under the radar sort of potential players come through as well because of that. Because you need that when you're in the Portuguese league. You need to be able to win leagues by finding the best young talent from all parts of Europe and South America and do it on a shoestring budget. He might take that experience that he's got and into a big club, and he might look and say, okay, cool. City's willing to give me several £100 million, this summer. Maybe not every summer, but most summers to go and find players. And rather than going for X player, who we look at their stats and they might be 100 million or something at the end of the day, but I've found this young player from South America or from within the Portuguese league or something like that. He's got upward projections of numbers that would suggest that he's going to be as good as this player in the next 2 or 3 years, but he's only going to cost you 15 million.
Yeah,
I think what we're doing is we're looking at the possibility of still having a big club mentality, but under this sort of chief of operations or becoming the new chief of operations with Viana. We're going to be a big club like any other big club in Europe, but we're going to have that sort of scouting mentality that could be on a level with like a Benfica or a Dortmund or a Brighton, for example.
Brighton, yeah.
You know what I mean? So we might be able to bring in that sort of different dynamic financially and sort of scout wise, where we can float the money if we want to, but we can be extremely savvy by having a very, very, very strong scouting system out there because of him.
Well, sorry, people. 244 people in here, only 141 likes. That's not good enough. Come on, people. Everyone in here, there's at least 100 of you watching right now that have not hit the like button. Please check your like button is lit and give it a smash.
That's post Foggy's comment.
Which one's that? Let me have a look.
He said, Pat, I would stand out in the Turkish league.
I think that is my worry. But do you know what? The one thing I would say is, again, if we end up getting a player like Gabriel Zara, right, and we pay, I don't know what the fee is, but I would imagine it's going to be around, well, compared to some of the other fees we're looking to pay, it won't be that much, right?
Yep.
I'm not mad at it if we get, and by the way, I'm not saying Wirtz because of how much he costs. I'm saying Wirtz because of how good he's proven, his profile, yeah? But if we go back to look at the summer where we signed, who was it? Haaland, Ortega,
Alvarez. Ortega and Sergio Gomez.
and
Sergio Gomez.
And
Akanji, yeah, sorry.
Right.
Akanji.
So if we look at that transfer window, right, we got Alvarez and we got Haaland, right? But then we did get 3 lesser players, but all 3 of them, I mean, Gomez not so, but if we look at Akanji and we looked at Ortega, both of those 2 were kind of like, no one really got too excited about either of them. Both of them have come in and have been brilliant for us. So I'm not mad at those type of signings. It's the worry is, and I think this is where, you know what, it doesn't matter. By August, if we have all the right signings, yeah, it's fine. I just think, in particular, this Morgan Gibbs-White one, it's don't make it the first, because I just worry that the backlash is going to fucking it's going to impact it's going to put a lot of pressure on him. That's what I worry about. And in this day and age, we can say, oh, pressure shouldn't get to them. I hear you 100%. There's certain players like John Stones who comes out and openly talks about how he doesn't read anything on social media, doesn't let it get to him. But we also know there are players that do allow that to get to him. And that's just my worry.
So I was just... Sorry.
I agree with this, but it is what it is. We should have got him. I think everyone at City... In fact, I heard Pep say the other day, if we get Champions... He got asked once again, if you get Champions League football and if you win an FA Cup, does that make the season a good season? And Pep said, no, stop asking me. It doesn't. We made mistakes last season. This season, we need to make sure... This summer, we need to make sure we don't make the same mistakes. And... Gamirish was one. We should have got him in hindsight, but hindsight's a beautiful thing. So go on, Nick, what were you going to say?
No, I was going to say, can you guys see a world in which City go after 2 like major marquee signings this summer, plus your Cambiaso and your like Morgan Gibbs-White and things like that?
At this point, it feels like City are trying to make Morgan Gibbs-White a marquee signing. I can't lie.
Yeah.
So, nah. I mean, if we're talking Florian Wirtz level, who else are you thinking?
Good question. Again, just probably more so like big name. If he does go on the market, if Rodrigo is on the market, I assume Pep will definitely say try to get him, but whether it would, like, depending on the price tag, obviously.
Yeah, I think we struggled to get him, to be fair. I think
struggle to get two in the door at that kind of price range.
If Rodrigo does become available, that's not a bad shout, that one. I'd be happy at that.
Yeah.
Oh, he's kind of replaced like Joshua Kimmich as like my dream signing now.
Yeah, I'd be very happy with that. If we got Wirtz,
he's just rocks. I love watching him play. Even when he ran rings around us, he's brilliant. I love watching him play. His quality Camavinga.
And this is the thing, right? That deep down, and I don't want to be, a FIFA go and sign every player, but I would rather that right now I'm hearing City are in for Wirtz and Camavinga than City are in for Wirtz and fucking Morgan Gibbs-White. But it's what it is, man. It's what it is. Right, we're going to wrap it up here, people. We are going to go straight over to Never a Foul, where we have a show now with myself, Cass, Monts, Wolfie. Oh, Wolfie, brilliant. Some rivals. So all Blues, stay where you are. It will send you straight over there. Smash a like on the way in. Guys, you got anything coming up on Mancunian Way?
Yes, I think Martin Talks is going to do a phone-in show some later tonight, actually, your time. So, yeah, if you want to get involved with that, obviously just make sure you got a decent camera and a microphone if you want to be a part of the show. Myself and Nick and a few others, we should be on for Blues Down Under for our Wednesday day show as well, too. So, keep an eye for that. Anything else? Thursday night chat is, regular weekly fixture. So that'll be on as well too. So keep an eye on that at the Mancunian Way, and we'll see you there sooner or later.
Lovely. Appreciate you both coming on. As I say, this is going to go over to Never a Foul now. Please smash the like. Still only 163 likes. Before you leave, please get those likes up. And we will be back either later on today or I'll be back tomorrow morning. We are out.